What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to finally get started over here on Carl's Z because unfortunately my tailbone cystis came back. I was up all night last night, got no sleep, and was in excruciating pain. So we're going to try to dive into this, get the motor and trans out so we can get the engine on the stand, be able to work on it after our surgery so we're not straining too much, because I'm not supposed to lift like over 15 pounds and, strain. So we're going to actually listen to doc and not get working like I did the last time and rip my stitches and everything open. Granted, that's not going to be the same procedure, but we do need to get this engine out. And it was at another shop, and they seem to have already taken the plenum and radiator and a bunch of other stuff out so they could actually pull the engine. So I can't really remember where they're at. I just know all the parts are in the back here. So let's open this up and let's get an idea of what we're working with. We may just have to lift the thing in the air and immediately start underneath. Yeah, so right now that's what it's going to be looking like we're going to do. We're going to just lift the front up, get it where we can put these blocks underneath. I know it's going to be awfully messy under there because this car is extremely greasy. It's got like 250,000, so it's definitely been enjoyed. Another big thing that we actually ended up picking up yesterday, since we have all of these VGs, I don't know if you've seen the short, but I counted I've got at least 22 of them now. Well, we actually went and picked up this clutch tool, not literally clutch, but it's clutch for us. It's a cylinder leak down tester. So we can actually test how much these cylinders are leaking down, where they're leaking at. And this head that we got over here, not this head, but this engine that we got over here, turns out the heads are not the best and all of the intake valves are leaking. So we're gonna have to separate all that, relap the valves, and that engine is actually gonna go in that Z over there that was rod knocking that we picked up to be a quick flip. That unfortunately did not turn out that way. So that's probably going to be the first Z that I'm selling. I know some of you guys have been reaching out about buying Zs, and I just haven't been able to make it over to my home shop to get the other two going that I have wanted to. So here we are. Let's get this thing up on blocks and get it where we can start chipping away at it. And don't forget, hit me up if you need any Z parts, because I got them. Now we got it in the air. We've been kind of getting stuff done already. We got the test pipes off. Because as you know, I hate doing test pipes, I hate doing exhaust, yada yada. It does not change. Maybe if I had a lift, but then again, bolts are always still going to be rusted and crusted. Kind of like those. We had to snap all 6, and well, you know how that goes. This cyst is driving me nuts, boys. Now thankfully I grabbed this light from the other shop so I can actually see stuff while I'm working underneath. And what we did yesterday, dropped the drive shaft from the differential yesterday, so we just have to kind of slide it backwards if we can, and then we'll go back forwards. Other than that, we've got a starter, we got the shifter set up, and bell housing, slave cylinder and bell housing bolts. Right now we're nice and clean, but I promise you that's going to completely change by the time we're all said and done here. Because I don't know if you guys remember this Z. It is the crustiest, not crusty, I mean, it's a little crusty, but it is the greasiest Z that I've ever seen or worked on. So let's do a little pop and swap. Maybe not swap, but just a removal. So that, it's probably been a minute, and I noticed something when I was fishing my head up there. I smacked my head on the H-pipe, and look what I noticed. This whole muffler right here is bent, like the whole thing snapped off from it being so corroded and rusted. Definitely not something I was wanting to have happen. I'm sure it was just a ticking time bomb. I just feel kind of bad that it happened while I was messing with it. So fortunately we got to let Carl know about that. I don't know. I mean, if it's secured back here, which it is by one hanger, that dude's just gonna like dang near fall off at any given point. So let's get up there. Let's start pulling all the greasy stuff off. Yay. I feel like I've said this a handful of times. Actually, I know I have. But instead of removing the shifter and this fork and everything from the shifter itself, I actually like to disconnect the selector, disconnect this fork from the trans. That way this whole shifter unit can stay in and you don't have to mess with anything in the interior. Basically just makes it where there's less stuff that you have to do in the end. Mainly given that everything's not too crusty down here underneath. But this bolt actually seems to be backing out. So we just pulled a bolt from the passenger side Let this be a testament to how much oil is leaking. There is oil on this bolt all the way back here on the tail shaft of the trans. Definitely a first for me. Now we got the joys of pulling these two off. Let's make quick, probably extremely greasy work of this. That officially sucked. Man, I am not going to be ready for this Halloween party in a little bit. But we did. I can't remember if I said I was pulling the trans wiring off, but we popped that off, dropped all kinds of stuff in our face. So now we're going to try to remove all of these bell housing bolts that we can, like the 14 mil on the back. Pretty much they're all 14s. And we got our 14 and our swivel. Going to be your best friend. Really, you only need like 1.5 feet of extension, unless you want to really make yourself angry and get those top bolts here from the back. On a good note, once we're done with that, that means the trans gets to come out. Yay! Well, I mean, we got 6 not bell housing, but mount bolts in the back. Oh, say a prayer for me. We'll be back in a minute. We now got the trans all unbolted, mounts down. I know it's hard to see, but we've got it cupped right on the center. We should have all the bell housing bolts out. So basically all we're gonna do now is grab this rear dampener. Oh yeah. Well, why was that not bolted in? That is odd. Thankfully I got a little bit of help out here today. Gabby's bored and has nothing else to do. And thank goodness I got a good floor and I can just roll this back now. And that makes life so much easier. You do want to watch out for that shifter fork if you decide to leave it in place, because it can actually get hung up when you go to slide this back and you'd be scratching your head wondering what the heck's going on. Ugh, grease in my nose. And just like that, trans is out. Now the fun begins, where we can degrease and drag this out. Because to drag this out, if you're on blocks like me instead of jack stands, hi Tana, you helping me out? You gonna pick it up? You gonna carry it out? Oh, you're scared of the power tools, ain't you? You helpful girl. You giving them kisses? Yep. So the bell housing is gonna clear usually right here. I mean, if you're on jack stands, you might be up a little higher, but odds are you aren't gonna have as much room as I am. That's why I use blocks, and I just feel way safer with blocks. Sweet. This bell housing, or at least this rear main seal, has been leaking for so much time. Look at the kind of buildup it has. Definitely going to take the cake for the greasiest Z, especially the greasiest bell housing. It's just like a bunch of hair. I'm going to assume that's the clutch fibers and whatnot. Yeah, definitely need to wash my hands. Now we got to pull the 2 motor mount nuts on the bottom of the subframe. And after that, realistically, I guess we're probably gonna have to disconnect the AC compressor, since this is a charged system, let that hang down out the way, and we should be game to pull the engine out. But I've got a Halloween party to go to. I'm gonna have to tackle this after church tomorrow. So I guess we will catch you guys then, or at least when we can resume. So it's been a day or so, and we got pretty much everything ready to come out. We got it back on the ground, put it on a 2x6 so it's high enough that the hoist does not hit the subframe. And all of a sudden we're getting a wind gust filling up this trash bag. If anyone needs an automatic transmission for an NA, please let me know. I'm sick of having this thing in my shop at this point. I took it as a core, basically credit for the customer because he had a couple of them. Technically I have 2. Actually I have 3 at this house now. One of them I'll consider parts, but the whole time there was a knock sensor not present. It was keeping it from shifting past second gear, so I have no reason to believe any of these 2 transes are bad. So hit me up, please. I'm in north central Indiana. And well, basically we got our chain hooked up. We took the AC compressor off where it's just kind of hanging out the way so we don't have to discharge the system. Pulled the wiring harness and stuff off the motor, and we're ready to go. Got a doctor's appointment tomorrow, so my goal is to get this out, get it on the stand so we can work on it and not be too crippled to work on it. And if it is tight when you go to hook all this up, odds are once you lift the engine up off the subframe and stuff, it'll raise up a little bit. But I will say, if you do have your tension rod air guides, then you definitely need to lift it up. Get some tension on it to come backwards. We're going to keep our foot in front of the I-beam in the back of the jack, or the hoist, so we can keep it from rolling forward as we lift it. I just realized there's one thing that we forgot. Let's get the power steering pump undone. I'm gonna wait so we can disconnect it maybe by itself so we can drain everything out, because it actually has power steering fluid instead of auto trans fluid. Now we're back with all that stuff sorted out. We can begin the yank. It should be game. I think the last thing we need to clear is the oil pan on the subframe. Now we're just looking to clear the bottom of the oil pan over the radiator support or the hood latch. Once we're past that, it's all great. Oh, it's so nice having good concrete. Tell you what. More importantly, you guys need to quit sending me stuff off Marketplace. Please, I can't help myself. So now we can actually pull our clutch off when we get to inspect how new it is and also do this flywheel. Ow. That clutch is smoked. The way you basically tell how much your disc is worn out, not only by the overall thickness of it, which you can tell this is a little thin, but if you look at these rivets down between the clutch plates or discs, you can see that some of them are already kind of rubbing because that rivet is actually eating into it. The more you know. So we definitely got to tell Carl that we're indefinitely going to need a new clutch. And my recommendation for NA, buy the one off Rock Auto. Get it for like a 93 or 94. I try to stay away from ordering from 89 or 1990 because they tend to get that mixed up with Z31s. But the best part about Exidy is it's made in Japan, so you're getting some authentic parts for your Japanese car. Best to wear a mask when you do this, or give yourself the little safety mask with your sweatshirt or shirt. You don't want to be breathing in all that clutch, dust, carbon, or none of those fibers. Hopefully it comes off. These things usually just fall off. I mean, never had one get hung up like that before. Guess there's a first for everything. Even though I'm wearing gloves, Randy Leahy, look at all that dirt and grime just from pulling that dust shield off. No, that was not directed at you. I was just saying, yes, I got gloves on. I just hate how fast I go through them, especially when someone donates them. Makes me feel bad. But rear main seal may not be leaking. It's definitely in too far, I'll say. You want it to be flush with this rear retainer gasket, or retainer plate, sorry. Yeah, we definitely got an oil pan seal leaking. All I gotta say is all this is gonna clean up nicely. If that's the route Carl wants to go, we'll spit shine it all up. I'm really ready to see how these valve covers are gonna turn out, because that's gonna be a night and day difference. So let's go ahead, put this thing on the engine stand, get it ready. I might be going to B-dubs. I think I already said that, but I'm super excited because I haven't been in a while. And since I might have surgery tomorrow, I want to go treat myself, you know, the last little bit of cash I have in my wallet. Thanks to that guy giving us a deal at Marketplace yesterday and handing me 40 in cash back. But I haven't showed you guys that yet in these videos, but if you guys watch my shorts, you got me. We're back. Wow, the car is blinding me yet again. I guess I'm gonna have to move the garage door down a little bit. But we got the engine over here pushed to the side of the car. I don't really want to drip a bunch of stuff in my torn up concrete. So we're going to start tearing this thing down, start pulling our brackets off, this wiring, our motor mounts, our manifolds, pretty much get it stripped down. Delete that EGR while we're in here. And we'll give everything kind of at least a rough scrub or brush here. I just noticed. We're missing, that's what I heard earlier. That was the motor mount laying on the ground. So them dudes were both completely clapped out. And we're gonna pull these brackets off so we can actually pull the manifolds a lot easier. I kinda wanna try to drain the coolant out first. Because since we're not taking those water pipes off the front or the water pump, I really don't wanna flip this thing over and have it leak all over the floor. Let's get prepared, let's get all of our tools over here, and then we can finally start on this bad boy. So we got everything situated now. Let's begin breaking it down and removing everything that we can. I already pulled the 12 mil and the 8 mil from this, but I always leave the 12 mil so it can catch it when that happens. I reckon while I'm here, I'll pull what I can. It becomes a pain using the wrench underneath. Fortunately, in this video, we're not going to be able to get everything back together because we still have to order like all the parts, or at least Carl does. I do have a good majority of it, but just a matter of waiting on shipping. Wow, I guess that's one good thing about being greasy is it comes off. Before we remove this manifold and kind of forget about it, ooh, I cracked loose this O2 sensor, but it appears the actual bung that threads into the manifold itself cracked loose. Dang it, that stinks. So I'm basically going to have to put an adjustable wrench on this portion while using the socket to move this to crack it free. Oh, sweet, we got it. Definitely was not expecting it to go that easy. Now we're going to come down to remove this EGR. You'll have a 10 mil on each side by your valve covers, bolting the arm down to a little bracket. And you'll have two 12 mils holding the actual arms on themselves, but it appears we need to pull these heater core lines first, so we can actually get the clearance to get them out and not tear them up, in case they need to be used by someone, especially with all the emission stuff nowadays. You really have no idea when the government's going to put the ban hammer on us and, you know, force us all to do it, which I'm really hoping that never happens in my area. Another shout out to Randy Leahy for these absorbent mats, because I am about positive that when I knock this thing, all this coolant's going to come running out. Wow, talking about lucky. So to remove this, you actually got to pull this 12 mil over here as it holds this hard line for this coolant bypass hose. I say bypass because you need to bypass that thing. They're a pain in the butt. And I'm still confused why the person did this instead of disconnecting it here and, you know, removing it how it should be. This is the easiest side. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. And this 12 mil also holds your PCV hard line. When you do remove it, twist it backwards because you got to clear this hard pipe on these bolts for the lower plenum, and it should, keyword should, come right off. But as you can see here, we need to remove this hose clamp first. Ah, the GoPro wasn't rolling, but that thing pretty much, yep, it snapped. It's so brittle it cracked in 3 places pulling it off. You always want to replace these. The VG runs super hot, so it's going to make all of these super brittle. And if you do a bypass, don't do this unless you get silicone caps, because these things will shred out and bust in absolutely no time. Now to hit those two 12 mils, we can toss this in the scrap pile, aka scrap part pile. And a tip back here, even though my impact's not taking them out, these bolts are the perfect length that if you delete your AC bracket up here, say if you're not running AC, you can replace this 12 mil bolt with one of them and it'll fit perfectly to secure your oil pump to the block. While we're here, let's pull this battery harness out. Give us a little bit more room. Well, I wasn't going to show this because it never, and I mean literally never, works out. But look, the EGR is actually going to come out when it's supposed to. That is so sick. Funny thing is, the way I got my daily, my red 4-seater, is a guy in Indy actually needed one of these, and I had one that I successfully removed, and when the shop screwed his car up and he wanted to just get rid of it, he hit me up, all because he bought this $30 part, and I got the Z that I've been driving for 4 years out of it. So the way things go is pretty crazy, I tell you what. Yes, victory in multiple ways. And now for the not so fun part. These bottom 2 manifold nuts. Ouch! This is why I hate using these gloves, man. No matter what, I always tear them open. A lot of knuckle busting later, and the manifold is off. Now we'll just pull the gusset plate. Why not? Which are these little transmission bell housing pieces that bolt to the side, in case you didn't know what a gusset plate is. Literally all I did was move that gusset plate from here to there. I can't win, man. Now the main goal over here is just to disconnect this alternator to trans wiring so we can kind of free everything up. Holy cow, that totally disintegrated. Now we've got 2 12s. We're probably going to pull this whole alternator bracket off so we can get it all cleaned up. But honestly, the hardest part is going to be getting back here to this nut. Enough time for the GoPro to die or shut off later. Exhaust manifold removed. power steering bracket. We actually got the alternator where it should come off, but I forgot. We got this bracket in the front. Oh, I guess it would help if we pulled that out. Dummy. Ugh. I guess now we can begin on the alternator bracket. I would reckon now is probably a good time for us to find an oil pan so we can drain all the oil out, get this filter off before we separate the tree so it's not impossible after the fact. Gee whiz, man. That's ridiculous. It's just like the forbidden moss. On another note, let's go ahead and pull these injectors out, at least the full fuel rail, so we can just have that out and ready to go. Oh, well that's odd. Don't want that to happen. Granted, all this paint is going to be coming off these valve covers, but the paint alone tells me none of this has ever been taken off, because anytime this leaks out, it eats up the paint on your intake valve covers. Oh yeah, we've got broken pintles. That's not good. I mean, those had to go somewhere. I'm gonna assume down inside the engine. Because where else is it gonna go? Let's be real. All these seals are totally clapped. And this is why you should stay up on your services for your 300ZX. You do not want this thing to be this greasy. I think there's one final thing we're gonna do before we call it quits in this video. We're gonna pull these spark plug tube guides, seals, whatever. And we're gonna look inside just to see how much oil is down inside these bores. I can already see there's some down in the actual spark plug tube where the spark plug threads. I reckon we can pull the spark plugs too while we're at it. Basically, we're gonna be doing a leak down test on it so we can confirm the health of this engine. He did say he wants to turbo it, but I'm honestly probably aiming towards not doing it. Not only because of the mileage, but because he's already bought the clutch for an NA. Just a few other things that pertain to low power or NA, like the fuel injectors. Hate to have to buy those twice. I will say, it's pretty clean in here for the most part. Definitely been leaking oil because you can see where this mates to the head. You can definitely get a good before and after what that used to look like too. Number 2, we lost the seal. Yeah, we're definitely leaking over here. We got pooled oil in each of the valleys. Not that that entirely causes problems, but eventually it will if that fills up enough and that whole valley fills up. It can get in the way of the spark going through your actual coil pack and cause issues. This spark plug already has me a little concerned of why it's so hard to come out. Hopefully it's just from someone not lubing the threads in the past. Praying for non-strip threads, because I've never seen that in a VG yet, but you can never fully rule stuff like that out. Oh yeah, that electrode's pretty stinking worn. That gap is awfully significant. On a good note, at least it's got NGKs in it. That seems to be a really normal skimp for some people. And they do appear to be the correct ones. The tip of this thing is so stinking corroded and like rough. Yeah, this thing's needed change for quite some time. I'm sure once we replace these, this thing's gonna run like a champ. We're just gonna go ahead and pull all these out and we'll give you guys a rough little checkup with what they're all looking like at the end. I'm just so scared of damaging threads right now. I know I said I was going to pull these out, but I want to show you guys what to do here. Remember how that was totally full of oil? Basically this one was too. All I did was put a rag below it, and as I hold the rag with my other hand, I blast it with air, so it blows all of that oil upwards since the air has to come back up and the rag will catch it. We did soak all the residual over here except what's in this little valley part, but as long as there's nothing pooled up by the plug, so when we open it up that the oil doesn't fall in and give us a false reading, or technically bump up our reading for the leak down test. Because if we did say have worn out rings or cylinder walls, that would help kind of hide it. So I'm trying to completely avoid that at all costs. And it's also going to blow all the debris up and out so we don't have to worry about anything falling into the cylinder when we pull the plug. So I guess we'll come over here, we'll lay our other ones out and give you a before and after. Now we got the plugs out, and you can tell this side definitely has a worn electrode too. You can tell which ones are oily, but at least they're out now. We can start to go about doing the right things to this engine. So I was wanting to tear all this down to show you guys when we open it up. However, I want to get some of it cleaned up first so I'm not dropping a bunch of debris everywhere and places that it shouldn't be, kind of like the intakes. Granted, we'll seal that up. But like the injector bores and, you know, down in the valleys, whatever. I also want to do a big transformation video for the next video so you can get an accurate representation of what it looks like before and then once we get finished. So I think we're going to call the video here. The engine is about fully stripped down now, with the exception of replacing the knock sensor, which we'll go over in the next portion of the video. Pulling the oil tree because I still need to drain it. But first I got to take all my storage bins to the parts store and have them drain it out, or at least take the fluid. Man, that oil pan is going to need a deep cleaning. Pretty sure he's buying a master hose kit as well, so we can take care of like all this broken, brittle hose stuff and get it all sorted out and be pretty much brand new. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe down below, as it helps out the channel and helps you guys know when the next video is posted so you can watch it and not miss out. Thank you guys, as always, and until next time. Peace.